Warhammer 40k, a vast universe that I love dicking around in with other characters from other universes. And yes, this is a little different from my other videos. I was inspired heavily by a YouTuber I thoroughly enjoy called Pancreas No Work. So, today you're probably wondering, well actually you're not wondering at all, you probably saw that title and went, there's no fucking way you just put Steven Universe in Warhammer 40k. And to answer your question, could the Steven Universe managed to hold its own in the Warhammer 40k universe? Short answer, they're not conquering anything, but they're not going to roll over and die either. Let me explain. This is going to be kind of a more in-depth video than usual, and like I said, it's going to be a little different because I was inspired a lot by Pancreas No Work's videos for this one. And who knows, maybe this will be more in-depth videos in the future, depending on how well this goes. So, without further ado, let's get into the intro. Now, a couple things. First off, this is going to be important, because in here, we're not having the crystal gems. Yeah, there's no peace, love on the planet Earth, or however the hell that song goes. This is the Gem Empire, long before they met the crystal gems and Steven. So, for this, keep in mind, we're just focusing solely on the Gem Empire. And the Gem Empire, at its heyday, was apparently a real shit-wrecker. Hang on, let me explain. Apparently, it was a time where despite how the planet looks now, there was a time where the Gem Empire, or Homeworld, was a real shit-wrecker in the galaxy. But things have kind of decayed as of late, and that's what we're going to be using for this scenario. For this one, we're going to have to be a little more specific. So, we're going to take the Gem Homeworld and the Empire at where it is now, but before they met Steven and the Crystal Gems and everyone. So while we're not given a lot to go with on the intricacies of the Gem Empire, what we do know is that the gems themselves were in a state of what it looked to be decay. It was an expanding empire, yes, mostly because it looked like, as you saw, the planet they were living on is pretty fucked. Now, the big thing with this is that it was, even though it wasn't said out loud, there really was, it seemed to be at least, there was only one of the diamonds really kind of keeping things afloat, and that was yellow. Multitude of reasons. Mostly in yellow, and we'll get to why I don't think white, blue, and especially pink, because I'll just say it right now, she's fucking dead, wouldn't be any help of this scenario, is because, well, yeah, they never had their closure, and they're in this grimdark universe with no pink either. Let's just say, for sake of argument, that pink was still had her little rebellion, and she got killed no matter what. Only this time, it stuck. Now, getting back on point, is that really the only person what it looked like who was running the Gem Empire was yellow. Think of it as, instead of Rabute Gilliman being woken up and found and being the now Lord Regent and the Avenging Sun, it's Lion. Because really, Lion and Yellow have a lot in common. Tactical geniuses, ready to kill everyone in sight who don't agree with them, and also they have a propensity of putting a sword through your face rather than ask questions about it. And then they'll pretend like the sword in the face thing never happened. I also thoroughly believe that it was really shouldered on Yellow to really run the Empire over her now dead sister, her emotionally damaged sister, and their emotionally distant mother who's had a few cracks in her gem. So really, Yellow was just doing as all she already knew, going to other planets, harvesting the life force out of them, and essentially using the weapons they had in a state of decay. Because remember, there were gems, as we saw with Peridot, that were being malformed and had to be given new technology to be any help. Even Peridot said that a lot of gems on Homeworld were being born malformed, and the number of planets they were harvesting for kindergartens and for life force had been essentially kaput. So this is much like the Imperium or the Eldar. The Gem Empire is in a state of decay, and like I said, wow, this fits right in with the, grim dark future of the 41st millennium. Yeah, the gems are in no way going to come in and curb stomp, even with their massive fleet and army, because guess what? Everyone else has a massive fleet and army. as I said before, white it may as well be the God Emperor, because she literally was so indecisive that she shut herself away from everyone else. Really, the responsibilities of leadership fell on yellow. But I hear you say, Multi, what about Blue Diamond? Yeah, let's talk about Blue Diamond real fast. Blue Diamond, all she did was sit around and cry. And while I do like Blue Diamond, I have to admit that she really didn't do much to help. So all she really did was sit around and cry, while at the same time maybe do some politics here and there. But really, what it really came down to, what it all appears to be, is that yellow was the only one doing any shit around here, and blue and white were completely, utterly useless. Now, yes, the diamonds on a whole are incredibly powerful, and white is maybe on a godlike level, but as far as we can tell, yeah, in this timeline, she's not going to be using that godlike power that much unless there's a planet-wide invasion from one of these neighboring forces. And Blue, as powerful as we see her, yeah, I don't think crying is making your opponents feel sad in this kind of universe is going to be much of a help, other than you put tears in the eyes of the guardsman. Great, now he has to shoot blindly and still kill people, but hey, you at least made him feel something. I have to give you credit in that regard. You made... and hell, I would love to see an Orks reaction to making it cry. He's got all these leaky things coming out me eyes. That ain't Orky. They's trying to make me an Orky. So, I imagine that's how it's gonna go. And God forbid you make a Drukhari cry. Speaking of which, let's talk about the other races. Kicking things off, of course, we have the Imperium of Man, and oh lord. Now, you may be thinking, oh, well, the Gems and humans would probably team up. No. Much like the Imperium of Man, the Gems are really fucking racist. They are incredulously racist towards other species. Hell, they're even racist towards other Gems. I don't see in any way, shape, or form they're going to be playing nice with anyone in this galaxy. So, I think, personally, the Imperium would be something that the Gems would personally love to destroy. These loud, sweaty, disgusting humanoid creatures that bleed when you pop them. Yeah, they're not going to like that. And also, they're probably going to take any world that the Imperium hasn't drained the life out of, and drain the life of out of that planet personally. I also don't see that the Gems would kidnap any one of, like, Space Marines or Dreadnoughts or Psychers. They would just be like, we're killing them all. You all die equally. That's the closest you're going to get to equality among the Gems. Now, the other thing is that the Gem Empire is clearly, much like the Imperium, it's in a state of decay. So you have two armies that are equal in the ground. Now, yes, the technology that the Gems that Homeworld has outranks the Imperium. But here's something you probably already know. The Imperium has numbers. Like a lot of numbers. Like so much numbers it's hard to even tally it. And not to mention on top of the Space Marines and the god-killing weapons that they have. Well, not god-killing, but definitely some planet-killing, because I guarantee you the word exterminatus is going to be thrown around a lot. And I also will promise you that the Black Templars would love nothing more than to put a chainsword through your dumb, stupid Gem face and try to be like, oh, let's hear you sing a song about how sad you are when I put my sword through your ass. Oh, you're gonna come back? How about I stomp on your gem? Yeah, that's the thing with humans. We get as dumb as humanity is. We know how to kill an enemy fast. And while I do think that the Gems would probably be a danger, especially fleet-wise, I do think the Imperium would overwhelm them on ground troops. Though I do see that Gems like Jaspers and other, like, brutish more Gems could probably do some damage and maybe even kill some Dreadnoughts and Space Marines. The problem is the Imperium just outranks them on numbers. They'll just drown you in Guardsmen and Space Marines. And also, I am of the belief that Psychers could probably disrupt the hard-light construct bodies that the Gems have. I don't have anything to back that up, but I think that's a strong possibility. And sometimes belief is all you need. Moving on. Out of all the races in Warhammer, I think the gems would utterly despise the orcs the most. Big, loud, ugly, brutish monsters who only want to fight. No idea of conquest, just a good crumpin'. And I do think the orcs would love to fight the gems. Think of it. A race of beings, that are more than capable warriors in their own right, and if you stab them, they'll come back a few hours later, or months, or weeks, depending on the damage, and then get right back to fighting you. Sometimes they'll even combine and make a bigger person for you to fight. If that's not heaven, I don't know what is for the orcs. But the gems would utterly despise the orcs. Their elegance, their beauty, all of that would be a total clash in the brutish nature of the orcs. See, the boys would see the shiny gits, I'm pretty sure they would call them, and be like, "There's some good crumpin' lasses over there. Oh, he's gonna pop 'em good." And while I do think the gems would probably get shattered a lot, I don't think the orcs would realize, unless they stepped on a gem or two after stabbing them, that that's the only way to surefire kill them. But then again, maybe they wouldn't, because hey, if we kill them good, then they're not going to come back and fight some more. So what would be the point in that? But yeah, I think the orcs and gems would be at mortal enemies the most. Moving on to a race that the gems would utterly despise, to one I think they would probably respect. I do think that the Eldar and the gems would have a begrudging respect for one another. Two dying empires who had a massive technology that could kill gods, and not only that, their arrogance has blinded them to the mistakes they've made. Oh boy, these two would get along great. Unfortunately, like I said, gems are uber racist, and I don't think the Eldar would appreciate getting massacred and having their maiden worlds being taken and made into kindergartens. Just a thought. So, yeah, you can respect someone, but you can also kill that person and be respectful of them in either case. I do think the Eldar, though, would try to, be gentlemen's about it until, Baelton shows up to protect one of their maiden worlds from getting kindergartened. Now, the Dark Eldar would be utterly despised by the gems, and I don't think all that respect they'd have with the Eldar would apply here. However, I don't think that the Dark Eldar would be raiding any, kindergartens or whatever, probably because you can't really squeeze any pleasure from trying to fuck a gem at hard light cardstruct. Or maybe you could, I don't want to put that mental image in your head. But who knows, maybe they'll bukkake a gem to death. I'm sorry for that, not sorry at all. Next up, we have the Tau, and yes, I do think the Tau would definitely try to bring out the old greater good towards the gems. Here's the thing, though, like I've been saying, the gems are uber racist and don't like other races, especially organic ones. So they're going to see the greater good and be like, "I see your greater good. I raise you boot." Squish. And also all the planet-killing weapons that we have at our disposal. I don't think the Tau, seeing that as still they are the most technologically advanced race in the universe, would want to go to war with another highly advanced civilization, even though it's on its way out. I do think, though, they would, as opposed to everyone else here, would try to capture gems in their gem state, not when they have their bodies, and take them back to study in order to better combat them with more advanced technology. See, they're always evolving. So I do think that's what would happen, is that the Tau would probably kidnap gems, keep them in a suspended state of animation in their gem forms, and study and upgrade their weaponry to permanently kill these gems should it be, necessary if none of them are facing the greater good. Although, I will say, I do think the the Tau would probably be more likely to just start aiming at the gems once they figure out, hey, we can just shoot these and our problems will all go away. Although I do think the gems would probably start putting on armor or something of that nature. Also, I think the Tau wouldn't take gem fusion seriously, like how they didn't take Imperial Knights seriously, until they just saw a giant amalgamation of gem come stomping towards them and step on them like the dumb, stupid blue bugs that they fucking are. Moving on. Moving on to my boys, the Necrons. Much like the Eldar, I think in some capacity there would be some respect from the gems, also because they're inorganic, but hey, that's not going to save you from getting a good case of death. I thoroughly believe the Necrons, technologically speaking, are the only people that could probably keep up with the gems blow for blow. Both have god-killing weapons, their empire is a sham of what it once was, but here's the thing, the Necrons have numbers. Numbers that are kind of killing each other, but let's not focus on that. I also do think they would be kind of cool to see Yellow Diamond and Emotech have a cat and mouse game against one another. Think of it. Necron and Gem fleets warring at each other, and the Stormlord and Yellow Diamond, two great generals in their own right, trying to outmaneuver one another in a clash of, well, death. Except, here's the thing. The Necrons can't really come back unless, you know, their bodies are thoroughly destroyed. The gems can come back unless you destroy those gems, which again, I do think the Necrons would probably exploit that. In fact, well, every race would probably exploit that to every form of the cause. But I do think the Necrons, much like the Tau, would probably, you know, steal some gems and learn from it. And God knows Trazyn would love nothing more than to steal some goddamn gems for his collection. We all know this. Now, Chaos is a tricky one, because we have to ask the question, can Chaos corrupt gems? That's really hard because, yes, we have seen gem corruption, but that was through a different measure, not through Chaos magic. Could gems be corrupted because you kinda need a soul to do that? And here's the thing, we don't know if gems have souls. We know they have hard-like constructs, but there's no afterlife for them. When a gem dies, is there anything left? Oh, but Pink Diamond died, and she became, you know, Steven. Not necessarily, Steven became Steven. She gave birth to Rose. We don't know if there's anything left of Rose in an afterlife. Do gems even have an afterlife? So, if there's no soul to corrupt, then I guess none of the Chaos gods could probably get their hands on them. Although I do think that Chaos would probably see the gems and go, you're kind of not worth our time, don't get in our way, or, you know, we'll, you know, sick one of our demon Primarchs on you, and you'll get a lousy case of death in return for your discretion. I also don't think that the gems would want to fuck with Chaos, because that's a load of Lovecraftian nightmares that the gems aren't just mentally prepared for. It's really hard to tell with this one. Like I said, Chaos is a little tricky, but isn't it always? So, there is one more. You're probably wondering, hey, there's one more race you haven't gotten to. And I gotta be honest, I was kind of saving this one, this last race, and you know which one I'm talking about by this point, for last, because out of all the races we've covered so far, where the gems would be basically either getting soloed or putting up a good fight, here's a race I do honestly believe they could put up a good fight and maybe even win against. Yep, the Tyranids. Now, I can already hear everyone freaking out already in the comments below, but let me explain. Out of all the 40k races, I think the gems have the best shot of holding their own against Tyranids. Winning? That's a different story. But they could definitely do some damage to the Hive fleet until, you know, more Tyranids arrived, or until the Hive mind goes, here, have Hive fleet such and such, you crystal dickheads, have fun getting wrecked. The reason being of why I think the gems could probably hold their own against the Tyranids so well is because the Tyranids need biomass to consume, and guess what? Gems aren't really biomass. They're hard-like constructs, and their gems themselves can't really be consumed into biomatter. It needs to be something of biological descent, and guess what? Those gems aren't really biologically edible, now are they? So, I do think the Tyranids would probably kill several gems, and also, you know, for lack of a better word, swarm all the planets that the gems have, the biological worlds that they need to form their kindergartens, and the gems would desperately try to be protecting, but in an all-out war, the gems would be overrun, but I do think that their weaponry, plus their inability to be consumed by the hive mind and the fleets themselves, would actually give them an edge in a battle with the Tyranids. I don't think they could win a war if it was a one-on-one war with the Tyranids. That's really hard to say, but hey, there's so many wars going on. Not everyone can't be focused on, one faction to fight the other. But I do think they could probably get a few out of all the races here. I think, and again, it's a little heretical, but I think out of all the races, I think the Gems would probably get some big W's against Hive Fleet so or whatever the hell comes their way. And there you have it. Do I think the Gems of Homeworld could put up a fight and conquer the 40k universe? Fuck no. Do I think they'd get wrecked in a lot of fights? Yeah. But do I think they'd roll over and die? Not necessarily. I do think that the Gems have enough strength in terms of numbers and fleets to probably put up a good enough fight. However, this is the world of Warhammer 40k, where there's a bunch of decaying dead empires that have a lot more numbers than you do, and a lot more hatred for other species that are not like them. So, guess what, assholes? There's no singing and redemption here. There is only war in the 40k universe. But you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think? Do you think Homeworld would survive, or would they roll over and die, as some of you would probably say in the comments? Curious to know what you know in the comments below, but other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.